Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. I got a great show for you today because have you ever wanted to work out and you wanted to really get into shape, but you really didn't have the technology or the means to figure any of that out? Well, we have a guest today that is, that's what he does. He does that for a living. He's done it for the United States. He lives in the wonderful city of Las Vegas. And by the way, I just have to say, Ben, from the very top, Red 32. If you're ever in a casino again and you don't bet, just put $5 on Red 32. And I got a story behind that, but Purcell's not here today as yet, so we won't tell that story. But Ben, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I am doing very well. Just finished working with a couple clients this morning, and next time I am in the casino, I will definitely put some money on Red 32. And I'm excited to hear the story at a different time. But I don't either way. I don't need the story. We're just gonna go ahead and put $5 Red 32. You got it.
Well, what she did, and I'll just say this briefly, what she did is I said, because she was going to Colorado and she was going to be in Denver and was going to be in a casino. And I said, if there's a roulette wheel, put $5 on Red 32. And so what did she do? She goes to the casino and she forgets what the number was. So she puts $25 because that was the minimum on Red 34. And Red 32 came up, and she would have made $900, but she didn't make a nickel. But in any event, so Red 32 is, and that's for everybody out there. If you just put money on Red 32, it may not hit, and don't blame me if it doesn't. But if it does, you can give me credit. Anyway, Ben, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, of course. So I am originally from South Texas, and I moved up to College Station to do my formal, I guess, training, if you will, at Texas A&M University, where I ended up getting my undergraduate degree in exercise science. And what really prompted that move was, at that point I had already started competing for the powerlifting team, and I was able to set a couple world records, and I knew the Texas A&M team had a pretty well-known team, pretty reputable coaching, stuff like that. And so I ended up taking my decision to go to that university there. And during that time, I competed I represented the Team USA team a couple more times, I think 3 in total, at 3 different international meets, winning several national titles, setting records, doing the whole jam there. And I also did research while I was there. So I did research in genetics, I did research in nutrition, and then I decided to go get my master's degree at East Tennessee State University. And with that gentleman over there, he was the former head exercise physiologist for Team USA. So I got some really good knowledge, really good training there, and then went back to Texas, worked with some high net worth individuals. Like I just kind of stayed around the country club kind of area, and then ended up moving out here to Vegas so that I could be with my fiance. And I've been running my own business out here for the last 3 years.
And I got to ask you, because those that are not familiar with powerlifting, there's more than one event. There are different types of events that go into that. And you set world records. Can you share what the world records were in which event?
Yeah, so we have the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. Those are the main 3 movements inside of powerlifting. And so you have 3 attempts at each movement, and then the highest total wins the meets. And so every pound is a point, if you will, or every kilo is a point, and then the most points wins at the end of the day. And so at 16 years old, I ended up deadlifting 600 pounds, 661 pounds, and that ended up being the world record there when I was 15 years old.
When you were 15 years old, you weren't even developed yet because a 15-year-old never is. And you won a world record doing that. That must have been just remarkably exciting.
It was a very exciting time. It was also, I was fairly new to the sport. I didn't really know what powerlifting was. I had just kind of gotten thrown into the sport because I had a coach who was like, "Hey, you're pretty strong. You should probably just, go and lift with us at this meet on Saturday. Be here at 6 a.m. Get on the yellow bus." And then ended up just going. Got free food. That's what I enjoyed the most at that time. And if you're from Texas, you know Whataburger. Whataburger's amazing, and that's what we got for every breakfast and lunch. And so I was hanging out with my friends at the end of the day. And then I ended up really liking hanging out with my friends on the Saturdays, and I was pretty good at it. And I started, winning some titles. But initially I was one of the weakest kids, like in seventh, eighth grade. I was like the kiddo who was, benching 25 pounds where everybody else was benching, 95 or, 135. And so it was a long road to get to that point.
My son does a lot of powerlifting and stuff like that, and he's a bodybuilder. I got to tell you, there's a whole art form to what you do when you get into it. There's nutrition and there's having the proper calories and the calories in what. And there's a whole lot that goes into it that the novices, like people like me, that if there wasn't a ball involved, I wasn't really interested. But there must have been a whole group of things that you had to learn how to do to manage your body, because that is of paramount importance.
It's massively important. I mean, you're under significant loads, and so the risk of injury is pretty high. And so I had some really cool people around me that ended up taking me and I guess mentoring me at that time. And so I got some really good education from some really good people. And without them, I wouldn't have been able to be successful. But it was everything from like how to even squat and what shoes do you wear and what shoes don't you wear, because I was wearing the wrong shoes. And so it was all these like small details that you don't really think about, like creatine at that age was like, oh my God, you're on creatine. That means you're on steroids. And you realize, oh, creatine is actually one of the most researched, supplements in the world. And this is actually the things that it provides. And I started reading more stuff on like bodybuilding.com and T Nation, and started to educate myself in what a real program looked like. And it was a really fun learning experience. And like, just because I was in the gym, I think that's what allowed me to be successful in school. It was like, I'm that nerd now who likes exercise science. In high school, there's none of that, right? And so it's kind of
Nope.
like I'm a gym bro, but at the same time, if in a different setting, I'm developing some really significant skills here. So it was really fun. A lot of learning, a lot of learning.
Well, and you've translated that into a fitness program, and you're a coach of note. You take people that are interested in getting their body in a better shape, and also and it also helps their metabolism, and they can eat more. And my son, I tell you, he was eating more chicken. I used to sell chicken for a living. He didn't like it when I was doing that, but he ended up eating a ton of chicken and rice, trying to keep everything in balance and stuff. Like I said, it's a real art form.
It really is. I mean, the chicken is always the go-to. Like if you talk to any bodybuilder, it's like chicken and rice, right? Chicken, rice, broccoli, super classic. I think we've all done it. We've all at least tried it. For people that like wanted to get in shape but haven't, they've heard about it. It can be bland. There's a lot of different ways you can go around like making still a very high, a very fulfilling meal with those simple ingredients. But yeah, there's definitely an art form around it, and it's learning. Okay, I can also eat salmon, and what is my calories per salmon?
Yeah.
It's not just like making sure that people are getting in shape. It's also making sure, like, well, at least what we do here at IE Health is we make sure that people live a high quality lifestyle. And so, you want to have a beer, have a beer. Like that. That's absolutely fine. Just don't have eight. Like you can still enjoy those things, but you should also be able to like work on, can I get up and down off the ground comfortably, right? Like those small things that we don't necessarily think about, they're going to last you until you're 67 years old. Let's work on maybe, oh, you have osteopenia. Well, let's do our best to like work on weight training to help prevent maybe a broken leg or a broken shoulder or a hip, right? It's classic story of hip breaks and then, you have to go get surgery. It's a whole thing. Well, you can help kind of correct that by improving balance. We can correct just back squatting, putting some good weight on our back and like really, forcing ourselves to lay down new tissue, but also increase our bone structure.
So you work with people of all ages then?
Correct. I work from everywhere. I used to be the director of a kids camp. So kids, initially I did never wanted to work with kiddos. I don't know if I was intimidated. I just knew that it was going to be hectic. And it was, I ended
Yeah.
up, it was, don't get me wrong. The first day, I remember one of my kiddos, he was like, your ears are really big. You remind me of an elf. And it was so good. I mean, it reminded me of like third grade where I was picked on for my ears. But it was also so honest. And I think that's what I learned from the kiddos. Like they're honest. There's no filter. And so I worked from kids from 6 to 11. And then right now I have clients from 20 to 68, I think is my oldest client right now. And so we definitely and I just saw her right now and she's back squatting, she's doing bicep curls. And she's like, man, if I'm not in here, and she's retired now, then she doesn't move as much. And so she's got to make sure she can stay healthy. If she does fall, she can get up off the ground, little things like that. But definitely like all the way from the performance side, all the way to like the corrective exercise. We just got out of surgery. How do we deal with, what's going on? I have a client who just got a part of her shoulder pretty much taken out, the head of the humerus and everything just removed from cancer. It's like, okay, well, I need to make sure you can still reach and grab stuff from the cabinet above you. Let's work on some mobility and some strength and stability so that you can do that when you're 60, 70 years old.
And for those of you that may not be 60 or 70 years old, I got to tell you, and Ben, I'd love your opinion on this, but there seems to be like you can go from 40 to 50 and you feel about the same and everything is about you get from 50 to 60 and things begin to, like change. And then you get from 60 to 70 and things begin to change a lot. And then that's when you get past 70, a lot of people end up going downhill fairly quickly, which leads to their problems and in some cases death. And then, as an example, Hulk Hogan was just 71, but he also had a lot of steroid use, and your program doesn't include any of that kind of stuff, right? It's all natural.
Yeah, we're all natural. We don't deal with any of that kind of stuff. That stuff is not for the faint of heart. It's a very unique individual that ends up going down that route. And none of my clients, we just want to live healthy. We want to live a good life. And you don't need steroids to do it.
No, you really don't. And by the way, there's a product that I want to talk about. It's called All the Power. How did you develop All the Power?
All right, All the Power, ATP. And so to kind of give a little background, a little context, what ATP is or why it's named All the Power is because inside of our cells, we have ATP or adenosine triphosphate. And it's this chemical that ultimately just provides you energy. So ATP equals energy. And so All the Power specifically provides energy very, very quickly. And so it's very power heavy kind of chemical that's inside your cells. And if you try to live only off of the ATP that was currently existing in your cells, you would only live for like 8 seconds or something crazy like that. So it's a very interesting chemical, but it's also a really powerful one. And so ATP originated a couple years ago when I was doing research in one of the labs, Dr. Kreider's lab at Texas A&M, and we do a lot of supplement research. And so it was the number one creatine research lab in the world, and I ended up creating a product out of that, out of what I had learned, and that was initially a recovery supplement. And I just feel like that the market was unfortunately underserved in that kind of space. And so as I continued to develop that product, another product kind of came out, which was the ATP product, because I was taking pre-workouts all the time. And when I was, younger, and I felt good. I felt like they provided the energy I needed. I had a good workout, and that was about it. And then I started to take stuff more recently. That stuff was like 350 milligrams of caffeine and loaded with a whole bunch of like just stuff that would make my stomach hurt. I would always feel like I was going to vomit after I would take it. I just felt nauseous. I'd have the worst time on the toilet. I just did not feel comfortable. And so I think that they were just too intense. And so I started to deviate away from taking them at all. But I like the ritual of taking something that's going to be good for my body whenever I'm working out. And so I went through all the research and just decided, okay, these are going to be the most valuable things for the body during a workout. That's going to give me some focus. So we have alpha GPC and some lion's mane, which is going to help with euphoria and focus in the gym. And then you also have a little bit of beta alanine in there. And that beta alanine, it's the thing that usually people associate with the itchy feeling. Usually you have 3.2 grams of that inside of the product. We did 1.5 because I know a lot of people don't like that itchy feeling, but it's a wonderful product with a lot of research on it. It's good for blood flow. So you have itchies for a little while and it kind of goes away. And so I just wanted to add in as many natural things as I possibly could. So we have 4 adaptogens. We have rhodiola in there. Ashwagandha's in there. I mean, we have ultimately like some roots in there, and then we have green tea extract. And so wanted to make sure that it was ultimately something that's going to feed your body and not make you feel terrible and rip your face off. And then you could also still take it at night and go to sleep. Like you can take it, I work out sometimes 5, 6 p.m. I can take it at 5 o'clock and I can still go to sleep at 9. And that was also something that I was kind of frustrated with a lot of the products. They were just so intense that I would get home and then I'm up till 2 o'clock at night or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I couldn't sleep. And then now I didn't want to take the supplement the next day because now I couldn't have good sleep. And then, it's a downstream effect. And so that's kind of the story of All the Power.
If you want to follow along, you can go to Ben's website, which is
iehealth.co.
iehealth.co. We need to take a break, but when we come back, because a lot of people don't know, I would love for you to talk about the importance of reading the label of the product that you're going to get and researching some of the ingredients that you may not even know are in there or why they're there. We're going to return with Ben in just a moment. Stay with us, everybody. It's just 45 seconds. Just calm down.
You became a real estate agent for freedom, success, and real momentum. So why are you still stuck waiting for closings to save you? I'm Ophir Adar, founder of Real Momentum, and I help agents like you become 7-figure earners. My first client that I coached, brand new agent, made $250,000 back in 2006. What's the secret? You feed your white wolf. That's the part of you that's bold and unstoppable and a closer and able to build rapport quickly. So click Get Listings at Real Momentum and let's unleash your real estate potential.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Ben Nevares. I say that correctly, did I?
You sure did.
Well, perfect. Now, I want to talk about this because it is so, so, so important. I was in the food business for a long time and in food manufacturing. And they use labels like, I was in the chicken business. They use labels like free-range chicken and all natural chicken and all the, well, you know what? A lot of that stuff is just not true. Because they were using antibiotics in the herds to keep the chickens healthy and that kind of stuff. So you don't really know what's in the food that you eat, but if you're going to use a pre-workout or a post-workout and you're going to do it for the betterment of your body, you really need to know what's in this stuff, don't you?
100%. And I think an issue that we see a lot inside of the industry is that people are not transparent. They're secretive with what's inside of their formulas. And so you see these things that are like they're copyrighted kind of mixtures. And so it says 5 different things at 1,000 grams, and you don't know what percentage of the actual mixture is of of what. And so we decided to do kind of the exact opposite, and we were very transparent. So everything that is on inside of our product is on the label. We don't hide anything, and so you got to make sure if you don't know something, Google it. And we're not using any proprietary names or proprietary mixes. The mix itself is proprietary. It's ours, and so we own the rights to it. But ultimately, you can look up every single thing on there, and it's exactly what it says. And we just wanted to make sure that people could read the label and feel comfortable knowing that they're going to get exactly what we're saying they're getting. If it says 300 milligrams of alpha GPC, it's 300 milligrams of alpha GPC. And so I value that very much. I value transparency and honesty, and so that's what we wanted to lead with.
When a product says proprietary blend and it doesn't list what the blend is because it's proprietary, should you stay away from products like that?
I think you should be skeptical, right? I think if you really want to know what you're going to be, taking, then that's probably not the thing that you probably want, right? I want something that I know that of what I'm getting. And so if you also share in that, which I think a lot of us do, I think, yeah, you probably should stay away from something like that, because I understand from the business point of view why they do it, right? They want to try to keep their stuff very secretive because anybody can take it. But I think it's more valuable to be transparent, to let everybody know this is what they're getting, rather than trying to hide and then maybe even pretend. Like Bang, I think, was involved in a lawsuit several years ago because on their label it said they had super creatine inside of their product, and then after some research they found that it was like less than a gram. So it was insignificant amounts, but they marketed it as, oh, it has creatine in it, it has this in it, but it wasn't really what they were claiming it was, and they lost a lot of money because of it. And so, I think there's value in honesty. So if you value honesty as well, then I think you should probably avoid stuff that is a proprietary blend.
Because one of the things is there's a cost involved to everything. And if it's a proprietary blend, they can always change the blend based upon, or change the ingredients based upon the cost of that blend to put on the label. And companies, I tell you, I was in the restaurant business too, and it was run by accountants sometimes. And the accountants make a decision, we're using this and this is expensive. We could use this. It's not quite as good, but it's a lot cheaper, so that we don't have to raise our price, but we can then make the same amount of money or even more money. Is that a thing?
Oh my God, it's definitely a thing. It's the most unfortunate thing in the world. I hate it so much. Yeah, I mean, everybody is after the dollar, and then they forget about the quality of the product that they initially wanted to make. And I get it. Profits equal a business. I get that. But you can still have a good quality product and not cut corners. And I always thought before I got really into business, I thought everyone was doing the honest thing and, having good products and wanting to stand for something strong, trying to get educated, doing all the right things. And then I quickly learned that's not the reality. And that made me, I think, really disappointed in how people perceive businesses. I think we have a responsibility for the client or for the customer to feel confident what they're buying is good. And so, yes, it is more expensive on our end to be able to have those quality products. It's just the reality of it. But I give you a pound of product for something that for $55, and yeah, it's $55 versus you can get somebody else's for $30, but you don't really know what's inside that $30, and it's also 7 ounces, so I'm double the amount, and you know exactly what you're taking.
That is so key, because the accountants get involved. And anytime the accountants get involved, then because the guy who developed the product, and I have no doubt that they had the right reasons for developing the product and putting it out there. But when they lose control of the company or what's happening within the company, and then it's the accountants and the CEOs and stuff, and they start looking at dollars and cents, then that can change the entire formulation.
I think that I would like to one day be more like, I forget the guy's name, but the Arizona Iced Tea Company, the CEO of that company, he's kept his prices at 99 cents for a can of sweet tea since I was a kid. And I saw him on an interview. He was like, why should I increase the price to make a couple extra dollars? Like, I have a really good product. People like my product, and that's as simple as it needs to be. And he's a billionaire. And so I think that it's just like you can do good things and make a lot of money. Honestly, it's just be honest.
Well, and part of the thing is if a product works and the word gets out that the product works, then people want the product. And $50 versus $30 is not a significant thing when you look what's inside the product, because the $30 product is going to have typically how many milligrams of caffeine, as an example, are in a product that they're using to cover stuff up with.
Well, caffeine's so cheap. So you'll see stuff with 300, 350, 400 milligrams of caffeine in there because it's just cheap, And so that's their getaway to make you feel like I'm getting a really good workout. But in reality, it's just you're all on a lot of caffeine. You had 4 cups of coffee.
and coffee's way more fun. I just have to say. And by the way, we're talking with Ben Nevares, and go to his website, which again is
iehealth.co.
And congratulations. How are sales? How are things going with the company?
Right now, things are going pretty well for us. I think that we can always be healthier, right? But I think, are moving at a pace that is consistent with what we expected. We did a pre-sale that did pretty well for us, and so, but of course, I mean, we can always, we want the company to grow, because if we can grow the company, then ultimately we can, kind of hopefully make things a little bit more streamlined on our end, have a little bit more help inside of the company. And so we have a couple different employees that are with us, but it would be nice to order in higher quantities to get things out, and then offer bigger discounts in the future, which would be really, really nice. At this moment, we're not able to, but things have been good. I mean, it's been 2 years. And so the fact that I can just see it's in my hand and I can, play with it in itself is kind of insane to me. But I'm very proud of the product.
And very proud of the work that you do, because you've got a whole team around you now, which is really exciting. I wanted to ask you about the manufacturing process, because that's also a big deal. That the manufacturing is being done in a secure facility that is clean, and they do all the right things. And I'm sure, because this is kind of like your baby, and you birthed it, and now you're watching it grow, and now it's a bit of a toddler, and it's and stuff. And so I assume that you're very concerned and careful about the manufacturing process.
The gold standard, and I think you probably know this as well, the gold standard in manufacturing is to be GMP, right? So good manufacturing practices. And
Yes.
so whenever we were finding our manufacturer, that was a mandatory item. And so we ended up finding somebody, and they are GMP certified, and then very clean facility. We have microbiologists that come in and test every single product. And so we're third party tested. They're not associated with the actual facility. They're a third party. And so we were able to come to market third party tested. And for our athletes, that means a lot. And so, yeah, no, we did, making sure that it was a clean location with good quality labs and clean vats is rather important to us. And so we were able to find somebody that was able to do a really good job for us.
And they are really proud of the work that they do, so they continue to do a good job.
That's correct. Yeah, they definitely like what they do. When we first started meeting, there was a lot of pride you could tell from the way that even the way they do business. It's just, again, I think things are already complicated enough, and so if we're able to talk freely and just say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, this is the price, there's no trying to get around things, but we were able to create a really good relationship, really strong relationship early on. And they were very communicative, and so it was a really good process all the way around.
And we need to take our halftime break, but I wanted to ask you before we did that. Now, all the power is available, obviously online. Are you in any stores yet? Are you going to do that? Because that's a whole different thing, getting into stores and paying the fees, and it gets really complicated when you're going to put a product in a store.
It's massively complicated, and that is a goal in the future. We have some connections with GNC with a potential. We have a consignment deal down south in South Texas with a couple different brands. So we're in some stores, but mainly direct to consumer. That way we can keep our costs a little bit lower rather than trying to go through somebody else and having to increase retail. So direct to consumer is definitely the ideal for us, and so you can get it there. And then we're going to be at the Las Vegas USA weightlifting competition here in September, so we'll have a booth up there. We have a couple athletes who will be at our booth kind of promoting the product, and so we're going to be doing in-person stuff around the country, and our first one's going to be here in Vegas.
Actually, those are the most fun things to do, is to because you get to talk to people, real people, about their experiences and stuff. And again, we're talking with Ben Nevares. We need to take our break, and when we come back, I want to ask him, because I don't know, some products are easily sourced within the United States, some are not, and if they're not, how is a tariff affecting that and affecting the prices of that? That is a big concern of Americans right now. So I want to delve into that if we can, just to see. But again, Ben Nevares, and his website again is
iehealth.co.
And that is where you go, and you can pick up the product there and order it direct. And it's just $55, and it's a really, I think that is, if you start looking at supplements and meal replacement shakes and that kind of stuff, that's about the going rate. They're really, to get a good product, that's what it costs. And if you want to put something good in your body, then don't put chicken nuggets, because I know what they're made of. Don't put chicken nuggets in your body. That's not a good thing. So we'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And we've got Ben Nevares with us. He is the CEO and head bottle washer, and does, I imagine, you, and probably head sales guy, and all sorts of different hats that you wear of your company. And the name of your company is
IE Health. And so IE, I got to give a little context. IE stands for Intelligently Engineered.
Oh, very, very good. And you've got the educational background to back that up.
That's correct. We got both the master's degree, the undergraduate degree, published research, and now I'm in the middle of my MBA, which I'll be finishing here in December.
So you're a busy guy.
Busy guy. Try to stay busy. You know, I mean, what else is there to do? We have one life. I want to make the most out of it. And so I think we got to give ourselves the best opportunity. We got to, educate ourselves and try to do good things,
That's what it's all about, really. And I wanted to ask you, because tariffs are a big deal, and there are some products. And let me give our audience an example. when you go to the store or you go to Starbucks and you're going to buy coffee, there isn't a place in the United States because, except for Hawaii, that there isn't a place where the climate is good for coffee to grow in. So we have to import. We have no choice. The amount of coffee that we drink, we have to import coffee. And so therefore, when tariffs, and especially from Brazil, and when tariffs are involved, then the price is out of their control and stuff. So the prices change and they go up and down. Is your product subject to that as well?
Understanding global markets is really important in this side of the on our side of the game, and so luckily we were not impacted significantly by any tariff increases. Most of our products originate outside here in Texas. We do have some of our components that are manufactured elsewhere that we ship in, but because we order in such large quantities, or our manufacturing plant does, we're able to get some pretty good rates, and so we were able to eat most of the cost that was associated with tariffs. And so it wasn't affecting our products directly. It affects the business just a little bit, but not significantly enough for us to kind of halt production by any means.
And you didn't have to change any of the products and lower the quality to keep the price point the same. That's a big deal.
Correct. That's just not something I'm willing to do by any means. So it's just, if we have to pay more for the product, then we have to pay more for the product, and it just is what it is. And we maybe we run less ads, or but there's other ways for us to quote unquote cut costs. I mean, at the end of the day, if I don't take a salary, then I don't take a salary. It's just, as long as it doesn't end up decreasing the value of the product or increasing the cost to the consumer, then I'm willing to do that.
When you were 15 years old and you were lifting 620 pounds or whatever it was, did you think that you were going to, in the next 15 or 20 years, that you were going to be an entrepreneur of note, and you were going to be, as the Indians would call it, man of many hats? Because as you know, as an entrepreneur, you have to wear many hats. You have to be the marketer. You have to be the sales guy. You have to be the formulator. You've got to be quality control. You've got all of those things, and the human resources, all those things that you have to do. So, and you're getting your MBA. So that's pretty impressive, young man.
Well, thank you, sir. Kevin, no, definitely not. I mean, how could anyone imagine, doing all of this stuff? I never would have thought. I thought it was going to be like a straightforward, you go to school, you get a job, and then you do that one job. I thought, like, why picket fences? And that was the name of the game. And then I worked for multiple different companies, and I think that I didn't necessarily enjoy the way that things were being sold or being manufactured. And so I wanted to kind of disconnect from that mentality, and then really create something of my own. And if I get to decide the quality of service that we provide, I get to determine, the quality of the product we get to provide. And so I never would have thought I would have been down this road. I look at stock markets, and I'm looking at exchange rates to see if we could buy stuff in different countries at different exchange rates. It's also going to benefit the business. Like, I never would have thought I would be this in depth with global markets, or even understanding even just accounting in general. That's just it's numbers, and I like numbers, but I never really thought that I would be in depth with them. But at the same time, I also realized that I couldn't do it all, and so I needed help. There's no way to grow unless I have good people around me. And so that's when we started to let's bring on a good accountant. Let's bring on a really good bookkeeper. Let's, bring on some other good coaches. I need a manufacturer. We need help, and there's no way to do it otherwise.
And you were smart enough to figure out that you needed to hire people that in some cases were smarter than you in their chosen profession.
I'm smart enough to know that I'm dumb in certain things.
No, you're not dumb. You haven't taken the time, because there ain't none of that, because you're doing so many things to learn. Like, learning QuickBooks is a thing. Did you know that? It's a thing all by itself.
It is definitely a thing, and there's just not enough time. That's the biggest thing. That's what I realized pretty early on as well. It's like, no, I'm not dumb in this area. I haven't spent enough time in it. And so, like, yes, you may know more than me in production, if you will, but it's not because that you're necessarily smarter than I am. It's just because you've made this your lifeblood. And so, like, the thing that we give our time to is the thing that we're going to end up being really good at. And so, you might be really good at drinking beer, if that's where you spend your time. Or you could be really good at, creating something, crafting something. We all have our things.
Yeah, and you lived in South Texas, so you know what beer drinkers are like.
Texas beer and Texas beer and football. It's kind of the everything about Texas right there, pretty much.
And so I would like to think it's not quite in that order, but but I tell you, if you haven't been to Texas, and then you go look at a high school football stadium, some of those are as big as college stadiums, and they seat 50,000-60,000 people.
It's pretty amazing. I remember growing up, and it was like, I played for the Yellow Jacket football team, and it was the whole city would shut down, all the restaurants would close, and everyone was at the football game. It was everything about that city at that time, and it was kind of a really special thing to kind of watch everybody get together around something so simple of a sport, just football. It was fun. It was really kind of cool to see everyone get together, everyone from the community. It brought a lot of people together.
And if you were a good player, you had a certain amount of celebrity attached to that as well.
That's the weirdest thing, I mean, I hear these questions and like, who's the first celebrity you ever met? And I think sometimes those first celebrities were the football players on the team when I was in 7th grade. They go to the 7th grade of middle school, and then they're there in their jerseys, and you're a kid and you're just looking at them like, wow, how amazing,
I want to do that when I get a little older, and because and the girls, and there's a whole thing around that. But I digress, because we're talking with Ben Nevares, and we're talking about his company and his product, which is All the Power, and which is a Yoda-ism as well. And I'm glad that you are the man that you are, and you're taking your product and you're making sure that it's all natural, it's being produced properly, and I'm willing to bet, because you formulated it, that exactly every product there, every ingredient that's in it, and why they work together for a better pre-workout. Is this primarily a pre-workout?
Primarily a pre-workout. I did have I know one of my friends just took it recently, and she took it during lunch, and so it has the beta alanine in there, which is going to make people feel a little bit itchy, but she only took half a scoop. She took it at lunch, and because it has all these other products that help with focus and creativity, it's good for the brain. She was like, it was better than a cup of coffee. I mean, I could take half a scoop at lunch. It made me feel absolutely energized, also euphoric, and I liked it better than when I take coffee. And I was like, great. So you can also use it midday if you really want to, if you need a quick little pick me up. But primarily, yes, it is meant for a pre-workout. It's meant to make your workout not so where you're just like extra focused and make sure you're training well, but also make sure that so alpha GPC is a precursor to acetylcholine, and acetylcholine is in the brain, and a decrease in acetylcholine is usually associated with dementia, Alzheimer's, kind of our brain diseases that a lot of us can be kind of fearful of. So because alpha GPC is a precursor to acetylcholine, it increases that. And right now it's being used in research to even help people with Alzheimer's. It improves memory and focus for people even on the opposite end of the spectrum where we already have the disease, and it's improving their memory and focus. So if you're not there yet, not only does it prevent the likelihood of you having, potentially, that's what research is showing, it can help improve the chances of maybe not having some issues down the road. But it also can definitely, just improve memory and focus today, which is pretty amazing.
You'd be amazed how many people, when they get a little older, have this energy drop sometime in the it's after lunch, and you go back to work, and then at 2 or 3 o'clock you just want to take a nap. So this a little of this can help with that too.
That's definitely right. Don't get me wrong. I love me a good nap. I'm not gonna say no to a good nap.
Yeah,
you know?
but not while you're at work in your cubicle and your boss walks by and you're snoring. That's probably not a good idea or a career enhancing move.
You might end up maybe not working there for very long. That's correct. That's correct.
And so that can be very helpful. And so your product then and some of the ingredients, they're actually in testing for Alzheimer's and focus and clarity and that kind of that do you realize that how big of a deal well, of course you do. That's a big deal.
It's a massive deal, and we're seeing a pretty significant uptick in those diseases. And so, and a lot of my clients, we also work directly with the Alzheimer's Association, i.e. Health, my business does. And so, like I see it, and it's disappointing, I think, to see. There's some diseases that really take hold of individuals, and you see what that does to people, and it's just kind of sad, to be honest. I mean, I don't think there's another way to say it. And if we know that there's ways to prevent it, like you can just work out a little bit more, and then we can also take some extra supplements in there to really take care of the brain. Then you help people live a higher quality of life, not just them but their families as well. It's a significant impact.
And I do have to tell you, because I had some personal experience with this. When you get diagnosed, doctors have no idea. They're like, well, you could try working out a little bit more. You could try doing that because that's supposed to help. Until, of course, which happened to my 80-year-old brother-in-law, you fall down and trying to work out and you're doing too much and you're getting really exhausted. And because you've been told that your brain is gonna survive better if you work out more, but that's not necessarily a good thing for somebody who is, a little older, like 80 years old. He fell, and it's going to take a time for him to recover from that.
That's the classic story. I think we all have, unfortunately, some relationship with. You see that a lot. And so making sure that we aren't pushing too fast, especially our men that tend to maybe have a little bit more of an ego sometimes, where like, well, when I was 30 years old, when I was 30, I was benching 225 or whatever it is, and it's like, well, you're not 25 anymore. You're not 30 years old anymore. We're 80 now. And so 10 pounds is significant at times. Getting up and down off the chair is significant work. So, just making sure we remember, okay, this is where I'm at. This is my quality of life that I'm doing. I'm not out here trying to pick up 25-year-old girls at 80 years old. I'm not going to get super ripped. I need to be able to, get up down. I want to be independent. That's what we want to create, some independence for our clients and for I call everybody athletes. We want to, our 80-year-old athlete is still, an athlete. And so being able to get up and down is important.
And I'll tell you, when you get to a certain point and you feel yourself going downhill and your muscle mass, how does this help? Well, we need to take our final break and listen to this because it's important. But we'll be right back with Ben Nevares. I want to ask him about how it helps with maintaining your muscle mass, because when you get older, that is losing muscle mass and also bone mass are two major issues, because then when you do fall and that's when you break your hip, and in a lot of cases that leads to being bedridden, and that leads to a bad outcome. So we're going to talk more with Ben right when we come back. So stay with us. This is going to be important. The strength of staying kind from your friends at Positive Talk Radio. Kindness is not weakness. It takes real strength to stay kind in a world that often rewards anger, ego, and control. Being kind means choosing to act from your values, not your wounds. It means showing grace even when no one's watching. But kindness doesn't mean being passive. It doesn't mean letting people take advantage of your time, your energy, or your peace. You can be kind and still say no. You have a soft heart with firm boundaries. The strongest people I know are the ones who choose compassion without losing themselves. They've been hurt. They've been tested. And still, they choose to love and lead and to lift others anyway. Kindness is not about pleasing everybody. It's about honoring who you are and how you treat others, even when it's hard. So stay kind, stay human, and stay strong. And always remember this, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. And welcome back to Positive Talk. Ben, I think you qualify as being a kind man. Would that, do you feel like that, if that fits your description?
I do my best to be kind to everybody. Yeah, I think we all make mistakes, of course. Like that's kind of the we act. I really liked that break. I think it was a really good. I don't know. I really like listening to it. It was refreshing to remember like people that act out of their wounds rather than their values. I think is rather like an important thing that I think everybody should kind of take away. It's like, am I how am I reacting, or am I being proactive and really trying to do better by myself and those around me? I really try my absolute best to treat everybody with respect, with kindness, with honesty. So I would say, yeah, I definitely try my best.
And I'll tell you, and to do the type of work that you're doing, which I know this is a product that you have for sale, but I get the sense that it's not, making money is not your primary goal. Your primary goal is to help people take in the product that can help them the best. Was that your original motivation?
That is my original motivation, and it's been like that since I've started personal training. Where you have some personal trainers that end up trying to sell somebody on 4 times a week training and with this package and these supplements, and I have created a pretty firm boundary with most clients. It's like you don't really need as much as you think you do, and so I'm not going to sell you extra sessions just to try to get $1 out of you. I'm going to see you twice a week. That's all I'm going to ask. I'm going to see you twice a week, and then I'll write some training for you on your other 2 days on your own. But you don't need me. I should be able to teach you the things that you need. And at one day, you're going to say, "Hey, Ben, thank you so much. I think I've learned everything I needed to." And we go our separate ways. But I'm always a resource for my clients, for my people. Even to this day, I still message old clients like, "Hey, how are you doing? What's going on with the kiddos?" I just did that a couple days ago. And you build a relationship, and the relationship means more than the dollar.
And he has a product. It is called All the Power, and you can pick it up from his website. And is it in Amazon yet, or any of those places, or do you prefer it to be from your website?
Directly from my website. Amazon has become a little more strict with how they do their testing, and so you can only use their private testing parties, and so it became rather expensive over the last several years. And I kind of understand it, but I also don't. They want to make sure that the product is what the product is, and so they go through a rigorous testing process, and it ends up costing like $20,000 to $30,000 just to get on Amazon, and so it is not cheap. So direct to consumer for now, and then maybe in the future we'll go ahead and invest and go on Amazon.
Well, that's great. So I asked you before the break, how about maintaining your muscle mass? Because when we get older, it is so weird. I've never been 67 before, and the changes that happen, it's like, oh damn, I look like my dad when he was 67. That's just like weird. Can All the Power help with maintaining muscle mass and also bone density, which is a female issue primarily, but it is an issue?
It's a massive issue, both men and women, especially as we're not lifting weights. I think men do lift a little bit more early on because they're usually involved in sports, versus women nowadays are, but not necessarily people who are 60 now. And so it can, but it's a kind of a secondary, if you will. So because the ultimate thing that's going to improve muscle mass and bone density is going to be resistance training or weight bearing exercises. And so if you're in the gym and you're doing these things, then you're going to end up developing that tissue. Where the product comes in is, well, now instead of only working out for 30 minutes, you can work out for 60 minutes, feel super comfortable, not get super tired, so you can do more volume in your sessions, and so therefore you have greater adaptations. And so you can still have progress if you go in the gym without the product. Don't get me wrong, and everybody should be. If you're listening to this, even if you're 30, 20, you should be going to the gym now to save yourself when you are 67. But it's getting in the gym is the most important piece. But if you added this on top of that, it would ultimately just increase the likelihood of you developing that muscle mass a little bit faster, and also having that, the benefit of also being able to weight bear and have explosive movements, which is going to help the bone mass.
Well, and when you get a little older, and then you go to the gym, and everybody looks so young and so fit and stuff, and you are wearing your sweatpants and your oversized T-shirt to hide the ripples of life, we could call them, that happen as you get older. Give us some encouragement on going there, because I don't think the kids that are there actually even care, and you're doing something for yourself.
If anything, people, I think, are proud to see or happy to see somebody who's challenging themselves. It's not easy to go into the gym. And so if you are in the gym, you're around people who are wanting to improve. And so I think a lot of times we think like people are judging us, and in reality, they are probably cheering you on, or you're inspiring them. It's like, man, this person's 60 years old. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And here they are learning something new, exposing themselves to something that's going to be challenging, and they're doing it. They're doing the thing, and they're changing their lives for the betterment of not just themselves, but those around them.
Ben, you're an amazing man, and I want to thank you for coming here and talking to us, because I've learned a lot today. And the one thing that I've learned the most is you're an awesome dude.
Well, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it, dude.
because you how did you figure out at such a young age? Because you seem to have it all together. You've got it figured out of what this life is about. No, not everything, I know, but you're on a path, and you're on a good path to do something great for humanity. Do you feel that way?
I feel that I want to give people the opportunity to be successful. I think I had a lot of people around me that gave me the opportunity to be successful. Dr. Lightfoot will be somebody that I will mention on every single podcast till I can't. But he's somebody that just was there. That was, I don't know that he really knew that he was changing my life, but he definitely did. And so if I could be that one person inside one person's life, then I want to step up and be that person. And so I think we all have that opportunity to step up, and just, it could be, giving somebody a high five, and it could be something like a smile. I don't know. You just never know what people are going through. And so trying to be a light in somebody's day is pretty high value. And I try to do that.
And that's part of the kindness thing that you just naturally do. Do your parents, and I don't know, are your parents still with us?
They are.
And are they proud of you?
I think my mom gets scared, but I think ultimately, yes, that's a very mom thing to do. My mom's always worried, but I think they are very proud of me. I think that it's, again, they've seen me from being the kid who wanted to, eat chicken and broccoli at 15 years old because he was worried about his competitions, to now, helping other people, not just prepare for competitions, but also just prepare for life. So I think they're proud.
There's an aspect of that which is the physical aspect, and it can't be ignored, because even if you believe, as I do, that we're energetic beings in a physical body, you want to. It's like if your body is like a car, you want to make sure you change the oil, and you fix the brakes, and you get new tires, and you get new spark plugs and all that kind of stuff. You want to keep it up for as long as you can, so that you can keep that car. And the same thing happens with your body. You want to keep it up, because there's a certain point to where you can't do it anymore, and then coming back from that is really hard. So I applaud you. Thank you so much for being here. And anything that you would like to tell our audience, anything at all in our last minute or so, including your website again and how to order the product.
Of course. Well, thank you again for having me on, Kevin. I think that what you're doing is good for people to just be exposed to good, positive things. And so I think you're changing a lot of people's lives as well. So thank you for what you do as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so you can find the product at iehealth.co, and you can just you have two different flavors. You have watermelon and blue raz. Both are pretty wonderful. And I would say make sure you're moving. Make sure that you are in the gym doing good things for your body. And you can also find me on Instagram at Ben Nevares. My name's right there, so you can just use that to spell. So Ben Nevares at Ben Nevares on Instagram, and then I also have a podcast myself, and that's the Ben Thinking Podcast.
Good for you. We haven't mentioned that. We've got just a second left. How do they find that? Is it on YouTube?
YouTube and Spotify. Yeah.
Oh, very good. And how many episodes do you have up now?
We're at 130 or something, 120 something.
Good for you. Keep it going. Never quit. That's a rule of podcasting, is never let podcast fade get to you, and never quit, because there's always good information that needs to be had.
Agreed.
Ben Nevares, thank you so much for being here. And again, go to his website and buy all the power. Again, Ben, the website, please.
iehealth.co.
iehealth.co. And you're going to have to come back, and we're going to, when you introduce another killer product, you're going to have to come back, because I know there's probably one in the pipeline.
I'll be here. I'll let you know.
All righty. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got.